I'm not eating that much. Why am I not losing weight? And I get this really, really often with the clients that I coach is that many times they'll only be eating a couple meals a day. Maybe it's 2 meals a day. They skip breakfast, they skip lunch, or maybe they'll skip dinner because they feel like they're not supposed to eat after a certain time because they heard that from somebody that heard that from somebody that read it on the internet, right? And so I want to talk to you about why you may not be losing weight, even though you feel like you are not eating that much food. And there's a few different reasons that it could possibly be. And we kind of have to do a little bit of reflection and soul searching to kind of figure that out. Okay. So the first option is that you're not being completely honest. So what do I mean by that? It means that you're snacking throughout the day, you're eating things and either conveniently forgetting about it, or you really actually don't remember that you're eating things, meaning that you are mindlessly snacking throughout the day. And this could be a total and complete detriment to your nutrition goals. Because if you don't know what you're eating, then how are you supposed to make adjustments to your nutrition plan? How are you supposed to assume that you're gonna lose some weight just by skipping a few meals only to be making it up by snacking throughout the day? And so that's one of the main reasons is that you're not being completely honest. And it could be that you just don't know because you don't remember, and you're mindlessly snacking, or you are conveniently not wanting to remember. But it's important that you kind of get it. So I'll kind of give you an example. A lot of people wouldn't think that nuts have a ton of calories in them, but they do. This bag of nuts right here, this is 800 calories, okay? If you were to eat 4 of these bags, and I know that you may not be, but you'd be surprised how people have a can of nuts on their desk and they just kind of mindlessly snack on them throughout the day. And you don't realize how much of it that you're eating if you're not measuring it. This bag right here, 800 calories. All right, you eat 4 of them, now you've eaten 3,200 calories of just plain pecans or almonds or cashews or anything, peanuts. Those things add up because they have a ton of fats in them. They're good, healthy fats, but even healthy fats in excess can cause an issue. I'm just using this because I got this as a Christmas gift from some friends. Some Lindor truffles, some chocolate, some candies, right? These 5 truffles here are 400 calories at a minimum. And what I mean by that is this. A lot of the times what's said on the nutrition label are not 100% true. They can actually adjust these numbers by up to 30%. So it could be another 120 calories. This could be 500 calories here in this particular box, right? And so if you're doing 100 calories a pop and you don't realize how much of these you're eating, or maybe it's the M&Ms that are at your desk, or maybe it's the chocolates that are in your trail mix, that's going to catch up to you really, really quick. This is equivalent to this. If you were to eat 3 bananas, I bet you'd be a heck of a lot more full than if you were to eat 5 of these Lindor truffles. All right, I love them, they're good, but just like anything else, everything in moderation or anything in excess can be a problem. All right, so that's number 1. You're not being completely honest. Now, number 2 is that it kind of goes into number 1, but you're not tracking your food. So you don't know how many of these pecans that you're eating throughout the day. You don't know how many of these Lindor truffles that you're eating throughout the day. And you could get crazy and eat too many bananas throughout the day. But if you're not tracking your food, then how are you to know that you are eating too much or too little? And that's really, really important that you know and that you track your food so that you can get an idea of what you are eating and then what your body weight is or isn't doing. In addition, when clients are tracking their food, what I find very often is that they're going to track their food Monday through Friday, but when Saturday and Sunday comes around, that food tracker is empty. For some reason, they conveniently were unable to track on Saturday and Sunday. I wonder what happened on Saturday and Sunday, right? So that's really important to take into consideration too, is that if you are going to track your food, you have to make sure you track all the good and all the not so good in order to ensure that you get an accurate idea of what you are actually eating. Don't just track the good days. You got to track the not so good days as well. The number 3 reason is that you're eating too much of the wrong kinds of foods. So if you've watched any of my previous posts or if you've watched the video about macros, you need to be eating plenty of protein throughout the day. If you're not eating enough protein and your day is filled with carbohydrates and fats, well, guess what? Those carbohydrates and fats that you are not burning will not help you to build and repair your muscles. If anything, they're going to go and they're going to get stored as body fat. So we have to be aware of what foods that we are eating. Now, I'm not saying that you have to go low carb, low fat or anything like that. But what I am saying is that you have to get adequate amounts of the right kind of nutrients. And if you're not eating enough of those nutrients, then that's going to be a detriment to your diet, okay, and your body composition as well. The last thing is that your metabolism could have adapted to what you're eating, and you probably need to start eating a little bit more food, or maybe it's even a lot more food. And actually, this is more common these days than people eating too much food. I find that clients are skipping too many meals, they're eating too little, and then what ends up happening is that they start binging on the weekend. And so when we look at our bodies are made up of a bunch of different processes, and and I'll use like these 10X's here to kind of explain what those look like. All right. And they're all prioritized from most important to least important. So if they're not super duper important, then, they're going to be down here on the lower end of the spectrum. And so what that means is that as your body is going through a fat loss phase, and tell me if this sounds familiar, in the beginning, you tend to lose a lot of weight. Maybe you're losing 2 pounds per week. You're eating the same amount of food. You're exercising, all that other stuff. A few weeks later, now you're only losing 1 pound a week. And then a few weeks later, you're only losing half of 1 pound a week. And then a few weeks later, you're not losing any weight at all, even though you're eating the same amounts of food while exercising the same amount. And you're like, well, what gives? And so what ends up happening is that your body goes through this process of adapting. And I always like to say that our bodies are very, very prehistoric in their functioning. And so if we were to kind of go back to like caveman days, if the seasons change, right? So, we have spring, we have summer, we have fall, and there's plenty of food, lots of animals to hunt, berries to grab and gather. And then what follows fall? You got it, winter. So when winter comes around, then the animals go away. They are hibernating because they're cold too. The berries freeze off. They don't produce. And then, of course, we as people, we'll say cave people, we don't want to go out there looking, for food when it's cold as shit, right? And so what's going to happen is that our bodies are going to be in this natural calorie deficit. Well, in the beginning, our body will start to lose weight, but our body also understands that if we continue to lose weight at that rate, then we will eventually waste away and die. And so your body's always going to look for ways to be as efficient as possible. And so what's going to end up happening is that your body's going to start shutting down a bunch of these processes in order to find energy balance and efficiency. It's fantastic for survival, but super duper frustrating when it comes to fat loss or weight loss, when the extent of our hunting is going to the local grocery store and buying food and snacks. And so we have to be very, very mindful of this process, because what that tells us is that we can't always be in this calorie deficit. At some point, we have to be eating more food in order to speed up the metabolism. And I'll make a subsequent video to kind of explain what we can do to make that particular adjustment. And so our body slows down the metabolism. If we're only eating, 1,000 calories a day, Monday through Friday, then eventually our body's going to become efficient, and it's only going to burn 1,000 calories per day. Your workouts are going to suck. You're going to feel tired and lethargic throughout the day. You're going to have no energy whatsoever. And we think, oh, I'm just getting old. But that's just your body adapting to the energy level that it's being given. Now, this is where the kicker happens. Your body's used to burning 1,000 calories a day, and then you go out for the weekend with your friends, and then you go and you binge. And you go and you eat a couple thousand calories over. So you're eating 3,000 calories on Saturday of a bunch of junk food and drinking alcohol. And then you do that again on Saturday. Now you went and you ate or consumed 4,000 extra calories over the weekend, and you gained a pound. Doesn't seem like a big deal. It seems a lot worse whenever Monday comes around, because the scale probably went up like 4 or 5 pounds from all the water weight retention from all the carbs and the salt and the alcohol that you drank. But you really probably gained a pound. But then if that happens consistently over and over and over again every single weekend, well, guess what? When you have a year, 52 weeks of that process, guess what? You're going to gain 52 pounds over the course of a year. And you're going to be like, where did this weight come from? All you remember is Monday through Friday, when you haven't been eating anything and you've been essentially starving yourself, and then forgetting about, conveniently, the weekend where you binged and then you just ate all the yummiest and the greatest foods and drank all the greatest beverages, and just gained, maybe even if it's a half a pound over a weekend, right? That's still 26 pounds over the course of a year. So those are one of the main reasons why you may not be losing weight, or why you might be even gaining weight, even though in your eyes, you're not eating that much food. So here's the recommendation. You got to track your food. You got to be mindful of the food that you're eating, right? So you can use different apps like MyFitnessPal or the Fitbit app or the FitBody Nutrition app. Those are all great apps. And you start tracking and being mindful of the food that you're eating. Start measuring that food out. If you're serious about wanting to get the weight loss, if you're serious about wanting to see results, then you have to put forth the effort. You have to be serious about the habits that are going to get you to your goal. And if you do that, I promise you that you're going to start to see the results that you're looking for. All right, I hope you found this helpful. Have a good one.